Welcome, everyone. And yes, this is an introduction come FAQ call. It can be more of an FAQ depending on how many questions you have and what you want to know. I have put together some slides, however, based on some of the questions that people already started sending in through emails and messages. So I thought what we can follow as a format is I'll just go through those slides first. About maybe 10-15 minutes at most, and they should cover some of the common questions that you might have, and then we can open up to a more interactive discussion. A lot of you here know me because you've been in some of my workshops, and that was an interesting trend to see that, a lot of people who registered for this have already attended something before. But I'm going to reintroduce myself to those of you, especially who don't know me, who've not been in any workshop, and also for those of you who know, because there's some parts of me that I've kept very well hidden from the world. And there's a reason why I need to talk about that in today's introduction. So yes, so on top what you see in terms of the education, work experience, the academic career, and the work that I've done, it's very non-linear. It's been a journey of search and discovery and learning, and brought me to where I now am as a leadership and life coach, and I continue to teach with IIM Bangalore as well as an adjunct faculty. So in a way, I've got best of both worlds. But this is the place that I want to highlight really is this, the stuff that I've put in the bottom, which I don't normally put on the slide, which is apart from the coaching certifications, which really was something that I did only in the last 1 year or 1.5 years actually now. But before that, so I did my first Reiki course when I was 18 years old. And since then, I have been involved in learning, basically. And, practice has been very minimal. I mean, practicing a lot on myself, but I wasn't practicing outside. A whole bunch of techniques. These are some of the certifications that I have where, so for example, in pranic healing, I did do lots and lots of levels. Same with access consciousness. I'm actually a trained certified yoga instructor as well. And but there have been other things I've learned and practiced a lot, like EFT, like back flower remedies, not got certified, but just learned and practiced and experimented. And it's been a parallel part of my journey. And I'll tell you why I'm integrating this into my work now. Okay, so please, yeah. So in terms of my own crafting journey, so why the bootcamp? Why crafting our lives? What are some of the things that, so one of the things I want to let you know is that, and I'm sure it's not just me, I'm sure we've all been through, journeys that have had ups and downs, but I've had my downs as well, intense experiences, very intense experiences. There's stuff I haven't put in here as well, stuff like being through abuse, which was life-threatening, like my life was at risk, feeling suicidal. I've been in very dark places in my life, very frustrating places, failed in many places. Now, obviously, these aren't things that we typically put on our CV and highlight, but this has been my journey, and this has also been the triggers and the reasons for my continuous searching and experimenting with different things and different modalities and learnings, out of all of which positive psychology has been one part of it. And most of you know me because of my teaching in IMB based on positive psychology and the work that I've done around that. But I just want to let you know that that's been just one part. So coming to my life now, I would say I'm in a much, much happier place. And again, just putting it out there in terms of acknowledgement, it's not easy. We don't live in a world where we're actually allowed to say, hey, I have all these good things and it's good in life. But I want to put this out there at least in this call, and let you know this because I want to show you that this journey has hope, that this journey can bring us into places and spaces that feel lighter, feel more joyous, and just feel more wonderful, like feel like, okay, you know what, this kind of a life I like living. So I'm not saying that the challenges have gone away and that it's like a fairy tale and that life doesn't have its ups and downs and, you know, the tears and the difficulties. They're all there. They're still there. But what has changed is that, and what is changing? So this is not a full stop. It's not like a before after, because this isn't an after. This is also midway in my life, hopefully. And the journey of crafting is ongoing. But where I am today compared to where I've been, and it's been incremental, so again, it's not like a step change, is that I'm way better equipped to handle the ups and downs, to actively make choices and bear the consequences, rather than feeling like a victim and feeling like, oh, this is happening to me and this is happening to me and this is happening to me. And you know, when I felt like, when I told you times when I felt suicidal, right? I didn't realize I had choice in crafting and creating my life. I thought life is just happening. So either I cope with it, it's good enough to live, or it's not worth living. I can't cope with it. And therefore I'm going to kill myself, right? So it's a binary. Okay. And it's a binary decision made in terms of thinking that life is something that's happening to me from outside, which is very different from the way I see life now, which is something that I am co-creating, recognizing that every time I choose, every time I do something, I'm actually creating the next step of my life, opening up the opportunities. Okay, so that is, and of course, and learning through the downs. And in fact, even, you know, words like failure, and it's just a label now for me, which means failure just means I wanted a certain kind of result. It didn't work out that way. And then immediately my brain goes into good thing, bad thing, who knows? And then it goes into the, you know, what can I learn from this? How can I leverage it? How can I make this outcome, which is the outcome that I didn't want, actually work for me? You get that? Right? And how can I build on that? So it's a very different way of looking at failures, for example, or setbacks or things that don't go my way than I had earlier, which is, oh no, this is so bad. And why does this only happen to me? And this is not fair. And going into all of that wrongness. Okay, so yeah, so I said, you know, as I told you, 90, except for literally the coaching certifications that I did in the last 1.5 years, where I had decided to start saying, hey, you know what, I want to help others. Most of it was really just to help me, like 100% self-help, right? I need help. I want to learn and understand things that can help me. And it just happens to be now that over the years, it's grown into a body of work that I recognize and realize can help others as well. And this is where one of the things that's happening to me, and I guess this is because, you know, I get certified as a coach, announce myself as a coach as well, and let the world know that, hey, I'm here to help you. People are reaching out to me and telling me about their lives, telling me about the places that they're stuck, telling me about the frustrations that they're experiencing. And I listen to them, and many times, in a lot of times, I can actually feel, you know, because I've been somewhere very similar, I get it. I really get it. And then I find myself handicapped in helping them. And why do I find myself handicapped? So, okay, so this is for a couple of reasons, right? So the first is that now, you know, there might be quick fix solutions out there, but I don't know of any. So my journey hasn't been a quick, it's not even a fixed, right? Like I tell you, it's been a journey and a change in perspective and being equipped with a lot of tools. So I don't have, so when people reach out to me and say, hey, you know what, I'm going through this, can you help me? And I'm like, I don't have a pill or a quick fix. Like, you know what, I'm going to have a half-an-hour conversation with you and you're going to feel better. or you're going to get out of the situation. You're going to change, heal your marriage, or you're going to be able to whatever, move through this transition. You're going to be able to get over this toxic situation and work. I don't have such solutions to give. What I do have is, I'm an educator, I'm not a healer, right? So what I have is a body of work, and it's a body. It's not like small things. It's a large body of work that helps us understand our own body mind systems, our emotions, how we function, how the universe functions. Learned a lot through trial and error, learned a lot through trying to do things one way, and really figuring out how to use things to make life work in a way that works for us. So that's the first reason I don't have a quick fix solution. The second thing is that I have a finite capacity and bandwidth. So even if I can actually, take a private coachee through all of these, it takes time. It takes a large number of sessions. It's expensive. So a lot of people cannot afford private coaching. And again, so therefore I feel handicapped. The third reason, again, is that everything that I know, like I told you, I'm an educator, not a healer. So the client has to use the tools. So think of it like gardening, okay? Like you buy all the tools and you have to use it on your garden. So even if I educate them, even if I tell them, unless you use it, so you could attend a gardening workshop, buy all the tools, buy all the seeds, come and just keep them in your house and not use it and say, sab waste mein, ye sab kuch kaam nahi karta hai. Ye kaam karta hai jab you will use them. And the thing is, a lot of the learning, the refinement of how you use these tools will be you specific, which again means you need to use them, practice them, right? So as say learning a musical instrument, you start playing and you start understanding what works for you, which aspects work for you. So you have to use it. And that takes practice, time, effort, involvement. And I can provide the education, the guidance, the cheerleading. I can be the listener. I can give feedback, but the work has to be done with you, by the client. And that's the third reason why I feel handicapped, because a lot of people are just looking for, hey, you bail me out or you help me out. And I don't know a way of doing that. And frankly, the way I look at life today, I wouldn't want to do that either. Like, even if I could, even if I did have a magic wand, I would why will I rob you of your beautiful journey of learning and discovery? And I do say beautiful. When I look back, I'm looking back at the darkest moments of my life, the times which felt like I am going to die. And even there, I can feel gratitude for what it intensified and led me to, that journey of growth and expansion. And I wouldn't want to rob anybody away from the thrill of their own journey. Now, here's what change looks like. So we're talking about creating change in our life, right? So, and I'm not saying you have to, but the whole idea of crafting our life is if we want to create it into something joyful, beautiful, meaningful for us. And there's nothing wrong if you just say, you know what, I'm just going to take it as everyone else around me creates it and I just receive that. That's fine. So there's no value judgment here. But the act of crafting, the workshop that I'm offering is tools and techniques that you can use when you want to create it into something that you're visioning for yourself. Now, obviously, that involves creating change. Now, change, very often we see this in magazines or advertisements as a before after, right? And even I showed you a before after slide, but I told you it was like, it's not like a binary before after. So change in real life actually looks more like this. So it starts with a choice. We choose. And remember the previous slide, I told you about the practice, the using it, you use it, you create new habits. When it becomes a habit, your new way, and this could be new way of thinking, behaving, acting, taking risks, not judging, all of it, right? And so on different levels, it can be body, mind, emotion, spirit, all of that combined, but you're creating new habits. When you practice it enough, it starts becoming your new normal, which means there's no more effort involved. That becomes you. That is your new platform. And from there, you can make choices again. And it goes on. Those choices turn into habits and they become your next new normal. And then it goes on and on. Now, this is the inner work that we do on ourselves. But the world outside, including other people, they respond to our new and changed selves. And I've seen this happen in my own life, right? So when I was the whiny, complaining person, people were treating me a certain way. When I have actually, when I'm more empowered and I'm going out beaming with joy, happy and grateful to be alive, people are responding to me differently. Opportunities are showing up differently, right? So my interaction with the outer world changes. New opportunities and possibilities become available. And then again, what do I have to do? I have to choose. I have to opt into those, okay? And again, this goes on. So it's inner world affects your outer world. So we work with the inner world and outer world together. So it's not about sitting and meditating and changing our thoughts and beliefs, but it's about acting on them, picking up the opportunities, exposing ourselves to new places. And then that triggers new things, right? So when we expand, when we choose new things, guess what happens? Now it's new territory. New wounds come up, new limiting beliefs come up, new challenges. And now it's, again, you need inner work to transcend those. In fact, there's a very beautiful concept called upper limits, where most of us have subconsciously at some point in our childhood decided that this is the upper limit of joy I can have. This is the upper limit of wealth and abundance I can have. This is the upper limit of fun I can have. Okay, this is the upper, and when we hit these upper limits, we feel like, okay, beyond this is scary zone, no go for me. And we create all kinds of things to sabotage ourselves. So this is when, again, the inner work is needed to move past those. And again, when limiting beliefs come up, when old wounds come up, to be cleared, released, worked through, let go. If you believe in karma, I'm just going to package it in different terminologies, which will, hit home with different people. It's again, some of these old wounds that are coming up in the form of our impressions. Now, we have to work through them. So it's quite possible that, and I did this a lot too in the initial stages. When this would come up to get cleared, I would say, oh my God, I'm doing all this work on myself. And there's more problems being created. It's not more problems. It's like it's cleansing. More stuff is coming up to be released. And when you work through that, then more stuff comes up and you work through that. But in that working through, you are moving into greater and greater levels of ease, mastery, and creation. With that, joy, happiness, and awareness as well. So it's not a all rosy journey, okay? But it's interesting and very useful and expansive. Yeah, and as we do that, we become stronger as we move through every expansion, right? Every time we access more of our own power and potency. And I truly believe that all of us have infinite power and potency. And so we keep moving on and on. Okay, so again, so when I'm talking about the Crafting Our Lives Bootcamp, the body of work, so this would be the beginners bootcamp, and then I'm going to be conducting more advanced sessions. So none of these sessions, and even if you come to me for private coaching, I'm never promising to solve your problems, A, because I can't, and B, even if I could, I wouldn't want to. But the offering is to empower you to come to a place where, problems don't feel like problems. Because so the minute something turns up like a hurdle or something you didn't expect or a constraint, instead of labeling it as a problem, and I'm not saying it happens to me 100% of the time, but actually 90% of the time or 80% of the time these days, my brain goes into, oh, how can this be a possibility? Because every problem is a possibility, right? Problem is, again, an English label. So there are possibilities hidden. What's the gift in this? What's the learning in this? And I do this even for things like my son falling ill, which as a mother has been a very sore spot for me. But of late, even when something happens to him, I'm like, okay, what's the gift in this? What's right about this? What's the possibility here? How can we learn and grow? And why is this happening? So not judging anything that happens in our life, but just going with the flow and seeing it for what it is and seeing it for how it can be something. And that's increasingly what I'm recognizing, that everything that happens is actually happening to help us in our growth and evolution, and being able to train our brains to look at it that way. So, okay. So now what birthed this particular boot camp? So in May, so like I told you, So I had really been teaching all my courses, if you've been in any of them, they're again 95% all cognitive. It's about mental models, beliefs. It's about mindset. It's about the brain, mind. Not really, never talking about or teaching about using the breath, the body, energy. And I've done like tiny meditations in classes sometimes in IMB, but that'll be if it's a 3-day workshop, a 15-minute one at the end of an entire workshop, almost like a throw in, an apologetic throw in, because I felt like, oh, this is not mainstream. And somewhere I think I had bought into this idea that, this is just the add-on. And while I was using it in my life, actually pretty much as mainstream, I didn't teach it as mainstream. So in May, Helping Hands did this fundraiser, which was 24 hours of meditation, and they invited meditation teachers from all over the globe to do it. Now, the person organizing it, one of them was actually from IIM Bangalore. She happened to know that I do a lot of inner work and meditation, and she was like, okay, Ramya, why don't you do this, take a session as well? And I was like, oh my God, I don't teach meditation. And I hit my upper limit. But it was for charity and for helping. And, it's like the world needed it. I did believe so. So I said yes to the invitation. And I'm so glad I did, because the session that I did, there's a recording of it you can find on my YouTube channel if you want. And it created so much for the participants. So some of them have shared in the session itself, so you can listen to them at the end of the session. But there were others who got back to me personally, people who sort of knew me, but didn't know this side of work. And they were like, this is powerful. And I felt it. And I was like, yes, this is powerful. Why am I sitting with this, right? Why am I sitting with this? And why am I just using it for myself? And I had to, so that was really getting out of, I hit my upper limit, my own brain. So some of you might have heard about this example, right? Which is used quite frequently. When baby elephants are trained, they're tied with a chain to a pole. And, there's a certain circle that they can walk around in, because the baby elephants are not strong enough to break that. And they decide that that is their boundary. That is what they are allowed. That is, they can only go that far. And that this is the chain that, they don't pull. And even after they grow up, they don't pull. But frankly, a grown-up elephant, if it takes one tug, it could just break that chain. That's the conditioning of the brain. And I realized I had done the same thing. So for 10 years, I taught at IIM Bangalore. And yes, when I was teaching at IIM Bangalore, it was inappropriate. And it has been told to me also when I did do meditations, I've been called up by, people and said, no, we are here to teach only what's there in the Harvard Business Reviews and the peer-reviewed articles and not all of this other stuff. And I get it. And as part of my, contract and agreement, I sort of shrunk everything that I had into the whatever has been, in the management journals and what I can teach as the voice and face of a faculty at IIM Bangalore. And I left IIM Bangalore as a full-time faculty. Now it's been 2 years, actually, it's June, it's been 2 years. But I carried that, like the elephant, I carried that chain, that all I'm allowed to teach is whatever gets published in Harvard Business Review and management journals, ignoring a lifetime of experience and evidence that I have in working on myself and my life. And so this is what broke open for me. And I was like, I have so much more to teach. And I'm like, oh, I'm not playing small anymore. And I'm not being that grown up baby elephant anymore. So one of the things that I did do, I offer 21 days of live meditations on YouTube, which again, the recordings are there on my channel. You can catch up. Some of you might have attended that, and maybe that's why you're here. And doing that gifted so much to me. And that's when I also realized that, I want to do more of this. And even that is limited because, of course, I was not using the body and I was not using movement. I was not using breath. I was using very simple meditations, which can be followed in a one-way form on YouTube. So it's again, a very tiny, watered down, simple thing that you can like do in a one-way format on YouTube. But even that felt so much richer than just the theory lecture of, that I was doing in terms of being the OB prof, right? So that's when I said, well, you know what? I want to go deeper. And then I realized that in order to go deeper, I can't go deeper with people unless they've been through the basics. And there's a lot of basics here. So part of the basics is, so if you've been through some of my courses on managing the inner world, it's about working on our beliefs and systems, but there are basics also in terms of breath and meditation and practices and exercises, worldviews. So who's going to teach the basics and who's going to teach the deeper workshops and retreats that I want to do? And that's why I created this boot camp. So my plan is to facilitate this a bit, and then hopefully in time, and some of you have come here because you saw my invitation for co-facilitation, and that's where I'm like, I need more people to be doing at least the beginners workshops so that I can go deeper with people. So one of the things that I didn't mention, but it was here, which was in terms of the finite capacity, about group sessions, right? The middle column. So this was the other thing, which is that, while private coaching can get very expensive for a lot of people, in the last 1 year, 1.5 years, I did a couple of group workshops. Some of you have attended that. There was one on choosing happiness, 2 rounds of redesign your career, one on happy money, which was a smaller book club. And what I found in doing these group sessions is that it can be great. So there's lots of benefits when you come together as a group and, somebody voices something and you're the shy one, introvert, but you still get the benefit because somebody else is actually being vulnerable and bringing things out. The downside of it, however, is that if there's one person who's stuck at a certain level, and sometimes I have no problem if someone's a skeptic and wants to keep saying, I don't believe this, give me more proof, give me more proof, give me more proof. It's fine. I'm happy to engage with that person and facilitate that person to, overcome his or her own doubts and limitations and all of that. But the entire group gets stuck there, which sort of means the entire group can only go as deep as, it's a bit like, I won't say, like, there's no judgment involved here, but if there are people who do not want to go deep and who want to keep sort of debating or asking, or they stay stuck at one level, it can hold the whole group back, which was, again, the need for me to start, really asking and looking at, okay, you know what, if you want to go deep in the advanced workshops, we only want people who've done the beginners workshop and who've done a bit of practice enough by themselves to have their own belief and conviction that, what, I want to do this stuff and this works, and then come in to the advanced group where they can truly be a contribution for the entire group and everyone can go deeper together. Okay, so that's the analogy of deep workshops here. So what is the format and what's included in this workshop, right? So we'll have live interactive experiential sessions. So 3-hour sessions on Sundays. There's going to be recorded video content. So a lot of whatever can be told in lectures, right? So instead of using our lifetime for that, that's going to be on records. We will be doing meditations, activations, and energy pulls during the live sessions, but I'll also give you recorded versions, recordings of that. You'll have access to recordings, which you can practice on your own, or you don't need recordings. You can also do it on your own, but if you would like a recording to aid you, that would be there. There would be a live exercise you do through the course itself. There's cohort-based interaction, learning, and of course, My dream is to form a community that can support one another. And this community is going to be very exclusive to everyone who's at least gone through the beginner's workshop. So again, to maintain the spirit and so that everyone's on the same platform, really. Okay. So this course is hard work, like I told you. It's not a simple pill. Okay, and it's, let me put it this way, only it's going to work for you if you work with these tools. Yeah. So the Sunday sessions are there. So like, week 1, we start with the introduction, and then after the introduction, think of each week as starting on a Monday technically and ending with the Sunday session, okay, apart from the introduction. So week 1, we're looking at the topic of sense making. So from August, Monday to Friday, basically 2nd to 5th, you get access to the pre-recorded videos, which you need to watch first as self-study. A home play exercise will be given to you, which you again do. So it's like a mini project, right? And there will be meditations, simple ones, activations that you can again do. Now you do it all on that theme. And on the last day, on Saturday is a break time for integration. Okay. So again, a very powerful practice. And if anyone's interested on why this is so important, that'll be a longer session, but I can explain to you sometime. But I know it's useful, so I've put it in. And on Sunday, we'll have a live Q&A interactive on that theme based on your experience. So you've done the theory, you've listened to the recordings, you've done some activations and meditations, you've done some reflective home play, and then we do the Q&A on that. After that, so it's a 3-hour session, it's long because we do that, and then we also set the ball rolling for the next week's theme. Okay, so I'll introduce the next topic and introduce you to the meditation that you can do in the coming week and practice. So every Sunday we'll be spending half the time on the previous week's topic and then setting base for the next week. And these are the topics that we'll be following. So there's 1 week of a break in between. It's a break from the live call, but it's also time for you to catch up on your assignment and also to, let some of the integration happen if you want to catch up on something. So this is, I was very dissatisfied with the, trying to express a summary of the approach. So this doesn't do justice to it, but I did think that it'll give you some idea of how it is, what it is. It's holistic. I don't know if Sonal is here. So one of the questions, so Sonal, if you're watching this recording and it's for others, she had was, how is it different from the Redesign Your Career course, which she had attended? So that course was, as those of you who attended would know, it was very strictly curriculum based. We actually had a textbook, and so, very dutifully and diligently, I only facilitated you on the topics that were there in the textbook. So it's different from that course in terms of the scope, which you've seen in the previous screen of the topics. But it's also different in the sense we're actually going to be looking at the entire, it's like body, mind, emotions, breathing and prana, energy fields, awareness. Our awareness is actually unbounded. So that's that was the title of the session I did for the Helping Hands meditation session. So if you want to know what do I mean by unbounded awareness, watch that on YouTube. So really using our unbounded awareness, using our attention. If you watched my first TED talk, which was titled Attention, Our Gateway to Change, you'll know why I think, please go and watch it, because I think that's, a good introduction to why it's important to master, own, and take control of our own attention. So we're looking at attention. We're looking at energy flows as well. We're also, we're going to use and leverage the laws of attraction and abundance. These are universal laws. Now, I know that the law of attraction has pretty much a bad name. Anything that becomes very famous all of a sudden lands up getting sometimes a bad name because, it's peddled in many forms. It's peddled as a quick fix solution, and it's peddled in different ways. So again, I have played, used, experimented with the law of attraction a lot, and I will take you through what I've learned in terms of which aspects of it work and which are some of the ways in which it is misinterpreted and which are some of the ways in which actually it can get us more into fantasy rather than actually creation or crafting of our lives. Okay, so yes, so the law of attraction has been peddled in many ways, but that doesn't mean that it isn't a useful tool to use when we craft our lives. Okay, so yeah, so if you're wondering what are vibrations and frequencies, again, I talk a bit about it. I don't know if I talk about it or I make you experience it in the Helping Hands meditation. So you can go and check that, or you can just go back to 11th and 12th standard physics, quantum physics, string theory. Everything that we see as part of the material world is actually vibrations, actually frequencies. And there is a lot of work and this has been something that I've been very obsessed with, in fact. So, there are light keys. There are different ways in which we can consciously tap into different levels of vibrations and frequencies. And what I like about it is because, that has an impact on your body, because our bodies matter ourselves, right? They're actually protons, neutrons, electrons, and everything is just a frequency. We can influence our emotions, thoughts. So, you can actually impact a lot when we work with vibrations and frequencies. So I will be introducing you to that too. Now, I do know, and this I know by just, 20 years of informal conversations that I have with a lot of people, that there are going to be some of you who says, I don't want to use these tools. I want to use only these, and I want to use only those. You know what? You can still craft your life using that. So it's just like, if you want to do gardening, but you say, I do not want to use a spade, but I'll use the other things, you can. Okay, but I'm just going to introduce you to all the tools. You don't have to use everything. Use the ones that work for you. Okay, so yeah. So in terms of body movement, we're going to be a little constrained doing this online through Zoom, but I'm still going to try and bring in some amount of it. Okay, so it can be done, not extensively, but I'll at least introduce you to the potency of it because it's one of my favorites. Okay. In terms of program pricing, which a lot of you have asked about, so it is 50,000 plus GST. You'll get a GST invoice. So if you have, if you're a GST payer or, you have a company, you can definitely claim it back. There is a 50% discount available to past students of select courses. And since you fill the form, you'll know which these courses are. Why am I giving that? Because A, just because you've been with me before, and B, there is going to be an element of repetition. I don't see it being too much, but in any case, I don't want you to feel that, hey, I already paid for one course and then there's some, you're repeating yourself here or something. So just to sort of, compensate for all of that, there's going to be a 50% discount if you've been there. So scholarships are available. Now, a lot of you, so when I saw the form results, I realized that a lot of you were interested in scholarships more than I thought. So since this has to work for me and for the business that I'm running, so what I figured would work for me is that 1 in 7 can be a scholarship seat. So the number of scholarship seats that I will open. So just in terms of logistics, as people enroll, and I don't know how many people are going to enroll. So if nobody enrolls, the course won't float. If 6 people enroll, then the 7th seat will be opened up as a scholarship seat. And I will get back to the first person who I think is most eligible. So I'm going to use my own subjective assessment. And among all those of you who've said yes to I'm interested in a scholarship, I'll make a rank order list. And if you want to know where you are on that list, I'll give you the number so you know, and then I'll sort of start reaching out to people as and when it opens up. So that's the way those will be done. Then, so in terms of co-facilitation, so here's where again, your responses overwhelmed me, and I'm very happy in a good way, in a very positive way. So a lot of you are interested in co-facilitation, and I'm delighted. So, so here's the thing. So obviously, first you go through the program as a participant and taste the benefits, use it, like it. And then there are two ways in which you can join in. And I will do a call for those interested in facilitation after we do this workshop. But broadly, the two parts are going to be, I'm going to assume that I will be conducting the beginners as well for the next few times at least. So you can join me as a co-facilitator on some, or a guest facilitator or a second facilitator. That's one option. And this is just going by, among those of you who responded, I saw, there are some complete beginners and freshers, and there are some people who already been doing coaching and facilitation. You have a lot of experience, but you're not just on this, right? So for you guys, what's going to possibly work better is that you conduct the program on your own, and you use the recorded content, exercises, and the live sessions. You do it again, depending on who you are, what your experience is, we can, work that out. Maybe I'll sit in as an observer once on your session, or, vice versa. We'll make this work. So just to let you know, it will be, yeah. So depending on your confidence and your experience in facilitation and how much you take to this content itself. So if you've already been into a lot of these modalities, then you might just take to it like a fish takes to water, and you could just hit the ground running in that case. And that's it. And let me just check that all the slides are over. Yeah, let's open up for live questions now. So I see that more people have joined. We have 19 people on the call, but only 3 with their videos on. So please do turn on your videos, especially when you ask a question, because like I told you, I get a lot of information apart from just by seeing your face, and I'm a visual person. So if you ask something, I'll get even what you're not asking just by looking at your face, and I'll be able to address your question better then. So, hi Vipula, hi Ravi. Okay. And if you don't want to come on video but want to ask, do feel free to use the chat as well. Parag, nice to know you would like to be a part of this initiative. So specific questions. Wow, I did a good job of answering all the questions. Okay, I'm going to wait for a minute or two if you want to think through and ask. Otherwise, we call it. Okay, so if you want to join, what's the next step forward? Drop us an email at contact@craftingourlives.com, and we'll get back to you.
Hi Ramya, Parth here.
Yes, Parth.
Yeah, so actually my question was more related to what would be there in the live session. So I have attended some of your courses, as an audit course in EDX, and some of the books on meditation and Buddhism. I keep reading. It is something which interests me. So whatever I have felt, this is more of reflective exercises. You kind of read them, kind of maybe read a paragraph or so, and then kind of see your life, how you have how you see things right now, and what had happened in your life. So these are more of reflective exercises. So how are your live sessions are going to be focused on? Because for example, if I consider recorded session, I can see them, and then I can reflect, and can maybe change the way I see things, and modify my life. But what would be the live sessions be focused on?
Yeah, so the live sessions in this particular workshop would be focused on experiential activities that you would do during the workshop itself. So it's going to be a workshop mode. We will use breakout groups and interaction. So you would actually be able to dialogue, brainstorm, come back, reflect. So it's going to be a dialogue based. So you'll get immediate inputs, right? Sharing. And also the live sessions will be where I would also introduce you to some of the tools, like the meditations, the activations, the breath and body exercises, which you can then practice. And because it's a live session, you can ask your questions and doubts and get the clarity. So, actually, and I'm glad you asked this question because, so is this like an essential course? In a way, it's not, because I think everything that I've put in crafting our lives, right, is actually what everyone is doing anyway. Like if I took you through my journey and I was just reaching out to different places and reading, like you said, right? So I've gained and derived and reflected a lot from Buddhism, for example. So non-judgment is going to be like literally the Brahmastra of all the tools, literally, right? So it's such a beautiful platform to create from. And that said, I have also, of course, attended lots of workshops to learn, because there are certain things that, I couldn't just create on my own. It really helped me to learn this from teachers. And one of the things that I started realizing, at least later, in the last 5 years, I've actually invested a lot more in courses. And before that, it was much more through books, right? It was through books and recordings. And this could also be my own financial ease in terms of investing in classes versus books, because books are cheaper. But what I recognized was that my growth went like this, right? And that's because of the reason that it helps to learn from someone who's walked the path before, because they can tell you a little ahead of time, this pitfall, watch out. After some run, this will happen, watch out. Oh, when you hit that pitfall, they say, yeah, I know, this is where you can go. So that really helps. It shortcuts. It makes it easier and faster. And I'm not saying easier and faster is necessarily better, but if, why not? And that's also where I've just been trying to look at, okay, what is the gift that I have to offer to people? So the gift is that gift of literally experience. And some of the things I've been learning with I'm going to use the word costly mistakes and drown, and then you learn. The learning is it's still a beautiful thing when it comes, but if you can learn it shorter rather than doing that, like I told you about the law of attraction, right? There are lots of ways to use it in ways that, you might actually end up sabotaging yourself than helping yourself, or pushing yourself more into inaction and fantasy rather than action and creation. So I've sort of done all these mistakes and learned. So that's that's why the live sessions again help. So, so Vipula here knows that I'm writing a book, and the book is sort of not happening because when I start writing it, it's not one book. I think it's 9 books or 10 books. Okay. And it's part of, because of this, I'm like, oh, ye bhi, yahan pe, ye bhi, ye, right? But so that might take a while. And that's the thing with books. Somebody's written everything out, but you don't know what you need when. So like, you don't know, oh, on page 92 in this chapter, there's something written, which is what? The one thing I need now. You have to read the entire book and then keep it. And then, so that's where a live coach, mentor, or, person can help, because fortunately our brains are better organized than books. I don't know how the brain works, but, we can just, I know exactly what you're talking about. And this is what you can do here. So that's how the live sessions happen.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ramya. I think that's good.
Yeah. Okay, there's a long question. Oh, Padma, do you want to just ask it? Or wait, she said you can't call from the room. Okay, I'll read out the question. Ramya, if we have to be a facilitator where we get to work under your license, do people look at us as life coaches? What would be a role of a co-facilitator? Okay, so I'm going to let you decide that for yourself. Now, very shortly, very briefly, let me tell you, in the profession of helping and empowering other people, there are different labels. There is coach, there is therapist, there is healer, there is educator. And they've all been sort of defined different. There's counselor, again, so there are small differences, not, and then legitimate differences. So as a coach, what you do is you hold space and you allow the coachee to do all the work, and you don't educate. As an educator, you do what I'm doing now, which is you educate. Okay, as a healer, you actually enter the universe and say, I'll help, I'll do it for you. You don't need to understand anything. Trust me. I'll tell you to do this, do it, you'll recover, right? There are counselors, there are therapists. Counselors will listen and give advice. A coach would never give advice. So I'm not very hung up on what you want to call yourself here. And there is also a certain leaning. Like I have friends who actually call themselves healers, and I know they love to actually solve other people's problems, and they do good jobs of it also, right? And of course, this can be a longer conversation, but I don't want to do that. So if you're conducting the Crafting Our Lives bootcamp, beginners bootcamp, I would expect you to definitely play the role of an educator, because that's what I have positioned it as. Apart from that, if other roles are coming intuitively to you as a coach or a healer or a therapist or a counselor, that's you just let that flow in as part of who you are when you do it. It's fine. So, okay. I hope that helped, Padma, since you didn't come online. I'm just stopping. Okay.
Hey, Ramya,
Yes.
hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes,
So just to sort of understand the whole aspect of facilitation, what exactly or how is the relationship that Ramya has with the facilitator thought of? Like, is it going to be somebody who works with you, or is it somebody who will work for you, or is it somebody who you collaborate with to sort of then take more courses as first and second facilitators? Or are all of those pathways open depending on what the person brings as credibilities with him or her?
absolutely. And so that's why the two broad paths that I gave. And Shrisha, not just credibilities that you bring when you join, but you also grow and evolve, right? So it's also about what you pick up and how you want to do. So you craft your own facilitator path as well.
Okay. And then, yeah, so the pathway is very open as to whatever evolves out of it right now.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay, guys and ladies, shall we call it a night? Thank you for your presence. And yeah.
Thank you,
Ma'am, may I ask
Ramya.
one question?
Yes, Anuj.
Yes, ma'am. Some months back, you made a video on YouTube regarding who is the perfect client for your courses.
For my coaching, not the coaching, but go on.
For the coaching, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, who is the perfect client for this boot camp?
Thank you for asking. Okay, yes. This is a perfect question. And I'm like, oh no, why didn't I put there? Why didn't I have a slide on this? It's very important. Okay. And I will tell, oh gosh, thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to start with who is not a perfect attendee for the coach. Okay. So I'm going to tell you which kind of people should not attend this, and then I'll let you know what will help. Okay. So those who are looking for ready-made solutions should not attend, because I'm not giving any solutions. Those who are unwilling to work because you have to work and take ownership for their journey should not attend. Because I'm sorry, it's like the analogy is like gardening. I'll teach you, but you have to tend to your own garden. You have to practice in your own garden. Your life is your garden, right? So if you're not willing to do the work, don't take it. And again, if you're looking for a solution, don't. There's one more kind of person who you might benefit, but I'm not so excited to have you in the course, and I'll tell you why. Okay, there's a little so like, for example, some of the tools, right, in terms of managing our mind, our emotions, non-judgment, all of that, like I told you, if you're depressed, if you're upset, if you're angry, if you're having a difficult relation, it can bring you to a place of ease, right? It can give relief. It definitely can. But these tools can also be used for creation. So one of the things in that video, for example, ideal coaching client, which I mentioned, is I wanted people who have an ambition, who have a desire, who want to create something, who have a purpose, right? And I'm more excited to work with the latter. And I'll tell you why. I have some very dear friends and family members. So while because with all these tools and all, I also become like an informal coach, mentor, therapist, helper, everything to my, inner circle, right? Friends and family. And what I found is that, so those people who have the ambition, who have a purpose, who want to create, when I tell them something, they see me as a resource person. They take it and they're excited. They want to use it and they want to create. I also have friends and family members who only want to use me as a dumping board or a sounding ground. And they say, I have this problem and I have this problem and I have this problem and this. And I hear everything and I'll do all the work and I'll help them reframe and everything. And then I realize that, but they have no intention of getting out of the problem or the stuck situation because they have wedded to that. And what they actually want from me is validation and sympathy of, oh my God, you have so much problem and your life is so difficult. So the tools that I want to give them are tools to empower them to lift themselves out of that pit. But they never came to me to actually, they said they're coming to me. Someone said, talk to Ramya. So the external reason is that they're coming to me to get help. But internally, they like their pit and they just want that extra sympathy. So that is the kind of person, again, I would say, why would you waste your money and time on this? Because you shouldn't be taking this. So, and here's the other thing, with all due respect to people who don't want to get out of their pits and situations, what I found, and I've also been there at one point in my life again. So I've been everywhere. I've been that whiny complaining, oh no, look how bad and life is to me and unfair. And I just want sympathy and attention and empathy. I've been there. Now, what helped me get out there was when I created a dream and vision for myself. So purpose and vision actually can play that extra role of pulling people out of that pit. So there's nothing written on the sky that everybody should have a dream, ambition, purpose, and a vision. No, it's totally legitimate to live without one, but it's very easy. It's easier to live with one if your intention is to get out of that trap, or the Maya of illusion that keeps us in all of that, the one that we're trying to break and dissolve.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay. Anuj is like, oh my God, I got such a long answer to my little question, but thanks for asking. Sure. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. And I'll see some of you aboard on the course maybe, and otherwise also, yeah, do stay in touch and wish you all the best. And there will be resources anyway on YouTube and stuff if you want to check out more. So have a good night.